And good morning. Welcome to Focus on Stafford County here on 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Once a month visit with Stafford County Economic Development and Stafford County Economic Development Director Kathleen Norman in with us today. We have a good program because Kathleen has some numbers, a lot of numbers to talk about. And let's get the background first on these numbers, Kathleen. This is kind of a little study of the figures, I guess.
Right. So when our AmeriCorps Vista came on she came on at the end of August, the beginning of September. Part of one of the things we wanted to focus on or look at was to kind of do a countywide housing assessment. So some of that's looking at demographics and percentages, and some of that is looking at what does our current stock look like. And so what we have back is we were able to get kind of the raw data from the county appraiser's office. So he sent over an Excel file that had every kind of deemed residential property in there. It's aggregated, so I didn't have like the address. I mean, you could look up parcel numbers, but essentially you're looking at like, when was the house built? What condition is it in? What's the tax valuation? And so from that, then we were really able to start looking at, the age of houses in our county. And so like right now, the average age of house is 87 years old. Less than 4% of the current housing stock in Stafford County was built in the last 20 years. And
4%?
Less than 4%.
Okay.
And then less than 13% was built in the past 50 years. About 40% of our houses are over 100 years old.
40% over 100 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
So,
I guess I want to back up and get some more numbers here that you have for us. But, okay, this is kind of like looking at your 401 or your IRA statement right now. Maybe it's better you don't even look at it, But when you do, you say, well, okay, that's kind of what I figured, but it's not as bad as I thought, or this was, because you probably had expected some of the numbers to kind of look like this, didn't you?
I mean, we did. I think some of the surprising things is how you can look at the data and see, housing development overall kind of dropped off starting in the 1960s for our county, and it never really rebounded. And so like the 1990s were our worst decade for housing development. Only 24 houses were built in the entire decade. If you look back in the past, 50 years, some years no houses were built at all, and other years you had one house. And so, I think that helps paint a picture, because right now what would be more desirable or affordable is if, you could get a house that was 20, 30 years old, still in pretty good shape, might need more cosmetic changes, and we just don't have that. I mean, when you look around, driving through communities, you can see that, like, a lot of our housing is old.
Now, you kind of did this. Has this been done before in Stafford County? I mean, something like the study that you did?
I mean, we have a full housing assessment that was done in about 2011, 2012, when K-State's architecture department was here working on the house. They did some numbers. It's not quite as comprehensive as what we're diving into right now. But kind of, they could assess, one of their biggest findings was looking at how many houses have been torn down. So in the past 20 years, we've lost about 13 to 14 houses a year, with only 2 to 3 being built a year. So you have a net loss of 11 houses over 20 years. That's, over 200 houses that have just
probably should have been torn down. That's
the
thing.
If they've been torn down, and there's still more housing that needs to be torn down, but you're looking at a net loss. Like, we have a significant loss of housing. So, part of the reason our housing market is tight right now is there's less available units, period. Because, in fact, our overall housing stock quantity has decreased.
Now, with this, and I know you went through this, but do other counties do this where you have maybe comparable numbers with counties possibly the same size as Stafford County?
It kind of depends. So, like, the Department of Commerce puts out a tool. It's called the HAT tool because it's the housing assessment tool.
Look at that HAT tool. All right, acronym.
And so communities can do that, larger communities. So like talking to like the Dodge City, Ford County Economic Development, they hire this out. Like the state did like kind of like a statewide housing needs assessment last year, the year before, where they released data recently within the past 6 months. And so again, that's something that they outsourced. Not a lot of communities take the time. Again, like we talk to our county appraiser and then our staff. So Fallon, myself, like we took the time to analyze the data to be able to kind of give the numbers because the data was raw. So you're having to work with that. So I mean, not every community or county takes that initiative. We knew this was going to be important to help kind of inform new housing development, as well as it'll become an integral part of future grant applications. But some of it was like, where are we sitting? Kind of how did we get here? How do we move forward? And I think it becomes twofold in terms of there is a need to do renovation work on existing properties to keep them in existence. So like I know like Stafford's Land Bank has done a fair bit of work to try to rehab properties, and that's needed. But we do still need new properties because at the same time, again, everything's aging. So in 20 and 30 years, if we don't have houses that are being built, new housing being built now, not all of the houses even, if you renovate them, are going to last another 50 years. I mean, you'd hope they do, but I mean, it just gets more complicated. And then it comes down to the affordability piece. And part of that becomes the challenge is since we don't have a lot of houses that have been built in the past 20 to 50 years, a lot of our housing has lower values. And some of it's they're older. Some of it is, they might not be in as good of condition, but, they were built at a time. So like a 1950s house, is under $100,000 to purchase versus building new. What people like to see in the moderate income housing, you're looking more at an entry level of $250,000 to $300,000 for a starter home, and that becomes one of the challenges.
Yeah. So any other thing, because didn't you say like most houses were built in Stafford County in 1910?
1910 was our best decade for housing development with 371. We kind of maintained a higher development up until 1940s. It dipped a little bit, but it was really the 1960s where I think we only had 100 and some houses being built, and then that just continued to decline.
Any other findings from this that kind of stood out for you, or?
So, I mean, condition-wise, 82.7% are listed as less than good. We have over half of them are average or better, but the other thing is valuation. Again, the information we have is tax valuation.
Sure.
So it's not fair market value, but at the same time, it does inform some of that. Like 71% of the housing stock for tax valuation is $100,000 or less, and 91% is $200,000 or less. And so when we start looking at what is the cost of construction today, I mean, that becomes the biggest challenge. Why haven't houses been built in the past 20 years? It's because, it was more affordable to purchase something existing, whether because of want or just circumstance. And so, I mean, the average value of new homes being built in Stafford County over the past 10 years, so this is, again, tax valuation, but it's at $269,000 is about the average. So, I mean, that's already significantly more than, the majority of house valuations in the county. Even just what we've seen in terms of economic development has been trying to work on housing for the past 10 years. Houses that were being built under $200,000 in the mid 2010s, today you'd be at least at the 250 price point, if not the 300,000. And so, I mean, and that's looking at a 10-year span, even just in terms of like houses being built, the price had increased by tens of thousands between years, like 2 to 3 years difference in when houses were constructed, the same design costing more. And that's the struggle we face now. Like our current houses, which we're probably not going to stay that way, but our current houses, the first some that we've done so far, are coming in with our current contractor around 135. When we bid this out, the same design a year ago came in at 184,000 and 228,000 to do the same house design. And so, I mean, that becomes part of the challenge is how do you build economically or affordably when we're talking about housing? And I mean, we don't see construction costs going down anytime soon. So now is the best time to build. But it's a challenging kind of situation because it's even looking at what's affordable. The median income in Stafford County has been around $65,000. It just got increased to $72,000 for inflation, but I don't know that I've truly seen actual wages increase.
Right.
But how, if a house is costing $250,000 or more, you'd have to be making well over like $120,000 to be able to afford it. And so when you look at median household income being at the $65,000, what is affordable for people? And I think the other challenges we're seeing rents are increasing. And even just talking to a couple new developers, it becomes complicated. The cost of construction's more. So for them to, if they're going to do development, like the rents they have to charge to be able to do the development are higher. And so, I mean, everything is complex and interconnected, I guess, is part of the challenge.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll have more Kathleen Norman with us from Stafford County Economic Development here on Focus on Stafford County on KVGB.
SJN Bank of Kansas knows the value of rural Kansas and is committed to all of the communities they serve, personal to business banking and more. They offer mobile banking options too. Download their app at SJN Bank of Kansas and find them online at sjnbank.com. Serving you since 1905 and with 6 locations. SJN Bank of Kansas in St. John, Maxville, Hudson, Burdett, Greensburg, and La Crosse. Member FDIC.
The friendly staff at Stafford County Drug appreciates your patronage. The lobby is open and they offer a convenient drive-up window. They'll even deliver your prescriptions in Stafford, St. John, and Maxville for free. Stafford County Drug knows the value of a hard-earned dollar and wants to work with you and your doctor to make prescriptions easy. For any questions on switching your prescriptions to your local pharmacy, call pharmacist Chris Davis at 620-377-5633. Stafford County Drug, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Inside White's Food Liner, Highway 281, St. John.
Our show returns Saturday, August 27th in downtown St. John. Registration now open. Call 620-549-3208 or email sjcity@gbta.net to get registered. There will be a beer garden, burnout competition, a raffle, and the car show awards. All proceeds benefit the St. John Jubilee Fund. Like, share, and follow the Around the Square St. John, Kansas Facebook page for more details and events.
Back on Focus on Stafford County, Kathleen Norman with us, Stafford County Economic Development Director. Okay, we went over the current state of housing in Stafford County, and that leads us now to, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, new housing program would be one way to start to address some of those issues.
Right. So what we're hoping to do is look at building at least 10 more houses in the next 2 years. So right now, it's trying to figure out how are we going to fund this. So right now, the county will contribute $350,000 if we're able to, get everything else lined up to carry this out. We're currently asking the cities to make an annual contribution for 6 years that would then guarantee a certain number of houses. And so we need city participation to be able to do it. And if we're able to get some of that piece lined up, then we'll be applying for a moderate income housing program in the coming months. The grant will open in July, and then we'll have to get everything solidified, and it will be due in September, and then we'll know sometime in the fall, hopefully, if we're awarded. So, again, there's a lot of moving parts.
Right.
So kind of what we do know we're looking at is minimally 10 houses over the next 2 years. We're looking at probably a current mix of the house that we have been developing plus that house on an unfinished basement. So we're looking at probably the house on an unfinished basement will be closer to the 145 price point once we get to development. The other on an unfinished basement would probably be that $200,000. It could be a little more. I mean, it's really hard to nail down prices and freight and cost of gas. But the other thing is, so that's what will be developed. But if we can find pre-qualified buyers to commit to purchasing a house, then they could choose from those designs or look at finding a different design option. Because one of the feedbacks we've received is it's hard sometimes for people to get qualified for a construction loan and be able to carry out a build on their own versus just being able to qualify for a mortgage.
Right.
So this housing program will have some flexibility in that, where we know that the design we're working with looks like it's what fits into what's affordable for most people. We also have gotten feedback that there's a desire for some other housing. And so it's kind of looking at how can we work to do that.
Now, these properties would be for purchase.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big thing right now. The biggest thing is we want to sell as many as possible. What doesn't sell, we would rent. Because, again, there's going to be certain things where we have to develop 10 houses, things like that. But the goal would be to sell as many as possible. And then the goal would be then to continue developing with the sales. And so houses at this point, one of the changes is we're only going to build houses in cities that choose to participate. We're not going to be able to carry out this program without at least some participation from our larger cities, either one or both. And so houses will only be built in cities that choose to make that annual contribution. And so they'll be asked to contribute annually for 6 years. The annual contribution is an amount based off population. That was the easiest way to kind of come up with some figures. And then they'll be required to supply the land for development, or the land could be supplied privately. And then cities that do choose to participate will be guaranteed a minimum amount. So
what say for St. John, what would the annual contribution be?
We're looking at $34,750 annually for 6 years. So in total, it'd be about $208,500, and they'd be guaranteed 4 houses. Stafford, we're looking at $23,475 annually, so for a total of $140,850, and they'd be guaranteed 3 houses. Maxville, it would be a $12,500 contribution, so $75,000 total to be guaranteed 2 houses. And Hudson would be a $2,500 annual contribution, so 15 total, and they'd get a house.
Okay. So this is kind of, we've come to the crossroads in many ways, right? I mean, you have the numbers. That's kind of the story for everybody. Here's what we can do. You can't do it all at once, but which way folks want to go? Because everybody said, well, that's a lot of, know where it's going.
It's a lot of money. I mean, part of the challenge is our organization in and of itself does not have resources to do things. We get a small amount. We get some money from the county each year to operate, but that doesn't cover what it takes. We have to continue to go out for competitive bids. At this point, there is not money available unless we can have local match. And even then, it's not going to cover 100% of the project. Sure. And so that becomes the biggest thing where we need St. John and or Stafford on board. It'd be great to get, development in all of our communities.
So the county signed off on this, but now we're waiting to see what the cities want to do. That'll be the next step, right?
Yep. To then be able to have once we kind of know that, we can firm up more of the details of the plan because that's part of applying for the moderate income housing program grant that will open.
Okay.
So a lot of moving parts, but I don't know. It's been said time and time again that housing's a priority. So we're hoping that it's enough of a priority that cities can budget for it and plan accordingly.
Sounds great. Okay, Kathleen Norman with us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the final segment of the show.
SJ&B Bank of Kansas knows the value of rural Kansas and is committed to all of the communities they serve. Personal to business banking and more. They offer mobile banking options too. Download their app at SJ&B Bank of Kansas and find them online at sjnbank.com. Serving you since 1905 and with 6 locations. SJ&B Bank of Kansas in St. John, Maxville, Hudson, Burdett, Greensburg, and La Crosse. Member FDIC.
The friendly staff at Stafford County Drug appreciates your patronage. The lobby is open and they offer a convenient drive-up window. They'll even deliver your prescriptions in Stafford, St. John, and Maxville for free. Stafford County Drug knows the value of a hard-earned dollar and wants to work with you and your doctor to make prescriptions easy. For any questions on switching your prescriptions to your local pharmacy, call pharmacist Chris Davis, 620-377-5633. Stafford County Drug, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Inside White's Food Liner, Highway 281, St. John.
Your account receivable billing, financing, and management needs. They'll do your customer billing, freeing your valuable time and energy to manage and grow your business. Astra Business Solutions provides immediate financing of your receivables, providing the cash to pay bills or expand your business. See the experts in billing, collecting, and management of receivables. Contact Mel Waite and his staff for a no-obligation consultation. Astra Business Solutions, 105 North Main in Ellenwood, and online at www.astrabusinesssolutions.com.
Hey everyone, Trey Bergen here with Ag 360 Insurance. As storm season approaches and with prices quickly rising, making sure you have enough coverage on your irrigation systems is very important. At Ag 360 Insurance, we have multiple carriers that offer competitive rates and great coverage. We'd appreciate an opportunity to earn your business. Feel free to stop by our office in St. John or give us a call at 620-549-3579. You can also check us out online at ag360insurance.com.
Kathleen Norman with us here, Stafford County Economic Development Director, and I asked this question, okay, we've got the county signed off, but the cities, and you've only gone to one city so far with this proposal, so people were, well, they didn't come over here to talk to us. But,
right, so some of this it takes a while to get all the pieces. I mean, everything's still moving, but starting to do what I call the city council circuit. So I was in St. John this past Tuesday for city council because it's budgeting time. So if they want to be part of the program, they need a budget. I'll be at Hudson on Sunday evening and then Stafford on Monday. And then Maxville's next meeting is July 11th. So again, we'll be going to talk to them to find out if there's interest. And then that will allow us to fully build out the program to get a firm commitment in July.
okay, people have questions. Is it on some of that information on the website right now, or? Well, there's so much pending. I guess
I have information sheets that are going out to all the council members or being presented to them, so they can make an informed decision.
Okay, all right. Real quick here, annual photo contest. What's going on here?
Yeah, so the Stafford County Fair is coming up. It will be July 12th through the 16th at the fairgrounds just near the city of Stafford. So economic development always does an annual photo contest. So there's cash prizes. We have 3 categories: people, so wanting pictures depicting individuals interacting by conversation or work; places, so the areas and businesses we utilize, as well as any unique locations to Stafford County; and then commerce. So business interactions within our cities or beyond city limits, but within Stafford County. And so we've done this as a way to help get kind of images and stuff we can use for promotion. So we have a first prize for each category, which is $25, and then we do honorable mentions as well, and we don't have a set number of those.
Okay, how do you enter?
So they need to be entered by 10 a.m. on Wednesday, July 13th at the fairgrounds, and so the exhibitor has to be the person who took the photo. You can only have 2 photos per category, but up to 6 total entries then. For details, you can find that on our website. And again, all the photos have to be taken in Stafford County. If you are selected as a winner, you do have to provide a digital format to us before we can pay prize money.
Well, we won't have time to talk about AmeriCorps, maybe next month, but great information today. Good luck to you. I mean, this is a big initiative, and a lot of people will be watching and see what Stafford County is doing about our housing shortage. Kathleen, thank you. That's our show.